for us?
Yes, I'm Lieutenant Ryan Shea. Ryan is Ryan. Shea is Shea.
All right, from Manchester Police, and I'll let you take that.
We'll silence that for now.
All right.
I'm sure there'll be more of those coming in as we go along here.
Congregating in the lobby, some of them are trying to get into the Okay.
All right.
All right. We'll try it one more time. All right.
One more time.
Lieutenant, just kind of give us a rundown of tonight's events.
So at approximately 6 p.m. this evening, there was a report of a large disturbance inside the interior of the mall. There were several officers up here working a private duty job. However, once they realized the extent and the large number of people that were involved in these disturbances, they requested more officers up here. Approximately 50 to 200 people were involved in these disturbances that started in front of Forever 21, and as the group moved, some other disturbances came in random areas inside the interior of the mall. Units from East Hartford, Glastonbury, Vernon responded for mutual aid. Once those units arrived on scene, the group seemed to disperse not only on the interior but on the exterior of the mall as well. Officers got reports of several disturbances and fights over by Dave & Buster's, towards Walmart, and it took us a while to really realize the extent of how many people were involved.
Now, are we getting the feeling that this was like a pre-planned thing? Like, all right, we're going to meet at the mall here at this time and we're going to fight? Or was this more organic? Like, this just happened after two groups saw each other?
So at this time, it's too soon to tell whether or not this was something that was organized. I know back in 2016, there were disturbances across malls all over the country the day after Christmas that was predicated by some social media coordination. At this point, we don't know if that's what happened during this time, but we're going to be looking into that as this investigation continues.
Now, in terms of injuries and arrests, I mean, when we're talking between 50 and 200 people involved, I mean, what do we have right now in terms of injuries and arrests?
So right now, there are no reported injuries to anybody that was involved in these fights or any officers that responded here. At this point, there are 3 adults and 1 juvenile in custody, and I don't have any of the details as to the charges or the ages of those individuals.
Now, is it too early to say if this was like a gang-related thing, or?
We don't believe that it was gang-related in any way. However, again, this is really early in the investigation, and you know, as more information gets developed, we'll be able to report on it.
Now, obviously, the day after Christmas, this is a time where a lot of families come in to do their returns, try to find deals. For them to get caught up in this, I mean, what was that like? This was kind of a chaotic scene inside the mall for several minutes.
Yeah, I think our officers did a great job controlling what was going on and trying to disperse the groups that had gathered. It is absolutely difficult for a family to come to the mall to try to do returns the day after Christmas and have something like this happen. We hired extra officers, or the mall management hired extra officers to try to prevent something like this from happening. But unfortunately, when you have the amount of juveniles that are unsupervised walking around the interior of the mall, when things like a fight begin, it can grow very rapidly.
Now, you know, we were talking a little bit earlier on about this possibly being a trend, because right now Milford Mall, they're dealing with the exact same thing. That mall is shut down after several fights happened. Do we know if this was a pre-planned thing, like across social media? Were there any hints that something like this could have happened?
At this point, it's unknown as to whether or not the incident that happened at the Buckland Hills Mall was a pre-planned event or anything that was organized on social media. As the investigation continues, you know, if we have any information to share regarding that, we'll definitely let you know.
How about looting? Was that a problem?
So at this point, it hasn't been determined as to whether or not anything was taken or anything was damaged during these events. But I'm sure as you know, we gather up information on what exactly occurred inside, and we work with mall management to figure out who was involved and where it occurred, we'll definitely have some more information for you.
We were talking with some folks about the execution of this lockdown, that, you know, once the word went out mall-wide, everyone started just kind of putting their doors down, closing them down, and that in and of itself kind of triggered panic in areas in the mall that did not see the fights happening. Are there lessons learned here, things that could be done differently in the future?
I think mall management and our department have done a lot in terms of preparing for events that happen like this. As to the communication inside the mall when this occurred, I'm not sure how mall management handles the communication. I know mall security works closely with us, and we would be in constant communication with them. But when you see an incident like this happen and the stores react the way that they did, I think it's for the betterment of their customers and their employees, because if there was something more extravagant that occurred rather than a fight involved with several youths, I think they did the right thing by shutting their doors and going into a lockdown mode. Should those fights have congregated in their stores, that could be an issue for us to gain access to disperse that group and deal with what was going on. So I think for the employees here and their reaction to what happened tonight by closing down their individual stores, I think that's a good thing. It's a good reaction.
Perfect. And just kind of going back to the arrests, we have 4 arrests, 3 adults, 1 juvenile. Do we have any ages or charges?
At this point, I don't have that information, but as soon as I do, I will definitely release that to you.
Will the mall be open tomorrow?
Yes, the mall is scheduled to open normally tomorrow. At this point, the interior of the mall is closed. However, the exterior stores, the exterior larger stores, we left it up to them, and mall management left it up to them as to whether or not they wanted to remain open.
Got it. Thank you so much. Anything else, Lieutenant?
No, that's it.
All right. Oh, yes, Nate.
Well, do you know yet if the fights were confined to the group that showed up or if they were picking like random shoppers?
Unknown as to whether or not there was random shoppers involved. We don't believe so at this time. Like I said, there were no injuries. The individuals that are under arrest were in direct proximity to where these disturbances began. And like I said, as the investigation continues, and if we have any other information, we'll definitely let you know.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
All right, Facebook Live. Thank you. Oh, hey, how are you, Vong? Hopefully you're feeling. Thank you. We will see you hopefully soon.